Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I am your host, Dancing Johari. Last time on my channel, I made Madama Butterfly from Bayonetta 3, as you can see here. And well, someone mentioned in the comments they'd like to see her with her wings. I would like to see her with her wings too, as would Madama. Oh, thanks, Madama. I'm glad that you understand. Last time we ran a little short on time to make such a big project, and it is going to be a very big project. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. To the workstation! So here, as you can see, I have some banner paper out, which is what I use for patterns for big patterns, like life-size patterns, or in this case, very big doll wings. And using a piece of reference art, this isn't official Bayonetta concept art, I don't think. I really don't know for sure, but this is what somebody had put online, and I just really loved how they created those wings. They weren't accurate to Bayonetta 3, of course. It might have been accurate for Bayonetta 2, but it's been a while since I played that game, so I don't really remember for sure. I just remembered I really loved the way that the crescent moon was, again, prominently displayed in the design, and both the top and in the bottom. So once I traced out the pattern to the size I wanted, I also attempted to duplicate as best as I could while adding a little bit of my own spin to it, the design. I especially loved the big crescent moon on the top, and I love the little smaller one at the end of the tail on the bottom, which unfortunately you don't see me drawing here. But this is for references for later. Mostly I'm drawing this out more for the sewing pattern at this point. And then once the pattern was complete, I took some jewelry wire and made an armature and tried to emulate the shape as best as I could for most of it, except for the long swallowtail at the bottom. So once I got the two separate pieces for the top and the bottom made, I then took some smaller jewelry wire, put them together, and began to connect them. This worked pretty well. I did get a really good solid armature for one of the pieces, but the other piece I ended up having to use two different types of wire for the top and bottom because I ran out of the stuff I was using in this one. So as a result, the top is much stiffer than the bottom in the second wing. Oops. And the idea behind this one was I was going to make a ball jointed wing initially for her. There we go. Once I do that for both wings, I go ahead and take the pattern, cut it out, take out some fabric, fold it over so that there's two folds, so this way 4 layers of fabric. Spritz it and iron it as flat as possible because this has been folded up for quite a while, so lots of wrinkles. Once I've got it ironed out to my satisfaction, I go ahead and pin the pattern onto the fabric, going through all 4 layers of fabric. The reason being, I want to sew this together with my machine. Now, this isn't so much as a tutorial, I'm just letting you know what I did. I tried it this way, and well, you'll see. Once it's all completely cut out, I take out my sewing machine, pin together 2 halves, right side in, wrong sides out, and proceed to sew them together. Luckily, the machine made this much easier and much faster. That was fast. Much faster than hand sewing. Once it's all done, of course I didn't close up the wings because we still have to put the wire in there. So I go ahead and check and make sure I've got the size right. And then I proceed to turn it right sides out and put the wire in. Oh, I also do press it before I put in the wire. Sorry, my son was home this day and he was kind of dancing around in the background a lot. There it is with the wire in and pinned, and I hand sewed all around the edges of both wings. Then I used epoxy glue on the ends and... These are supposed to be like stained glass, so they really should be see-through. So let's try one more time. Took out my pattern, took out more fabric, pressed it, and then this time created 4 panels again, but only 2 panels per side. So we're not going to sew anything together this time. I go ahead and trim off the seam allowance also as well, because there's really no seam. Once that's all done, I take each piece and individually freight check each set of edges. This took a while. Once that's done and dried, I go ahead and sketch out on some popsicle sticks the type of ends I want to use for the armature. And I create 4 wire armatures to the shape and size as best as I can get it for each wing, and then cut out what I've drawn on the popsicle sticks as much as I can. I highly recommend using safety if you can. Keep safety in mind, don't risk your fingers. Once all 4 pieces are cut out, I go ahead and drill a hole in each. Again, safety. Be very careful. I even suggest eyewear, because as you can see, sometimes they wrote up on the drill as they drilled. And luckily none of them flew off, but please be safe if you ever do this. Now taking each piece, I go ahead and stitch it to the wire. Whip stitch it to the wire around the edge at the top of each piece. This, again, took a little while. Hand sewing is a test of patience, I swear. Once all 4 are done, I trim the excess wire. And then using a chalk pencil, this is made specifically to draw on fabric, I sketch out what I want to, the details that I want to paint on with acrylic paint. I use a fabric acrylic paint, Jacquard Lumiere paints, and then I also use a Jacquard fabric textile paint for the black. Unfortunately, that only works on fabric, as I found out the hard way. Oh well, it's a learning experience, what can I say? I would suggest for the black using acrylic on the ends if you manage to get this to work for you. If you do this, I suggest making it so that you put it directly onto the doll, meaning you drill a hole like Delightful does in the back of her dolls, and either connect these to hinges or directly to the doll. But be careful. Once one side is done, I do the top sides, or the upper halves, on the front side only at first. Reason being, I want these to be mirrored, and well, we have to do something to make sure I can see the other side. But first things first, one side at a time. And if you're wondering where I'm referencing off screen, I have it the same drawing I was using earlier, but it's up on my computer. And I was using my screen for reference. This way I can just glance over to see if I was getting it as close as I could to that particular piece of art. Whoever drew it, high props, man. It was very pretty, and it really inspired me. I really liked that. First things first, let's do all the edging in black for all the details. We're not going to do the edging around the edges just yet. We're just going to do the detail parts at first. And, well, this took a while. I only finished these wings recently. I was inspired also by Delightful's Hekpri wing design, where she made them like a sun-catching effect, which is exactly what I wanted for these wings, because that's how they look in the game. They look like sun catchers on her back that are just massive and awesome. And in the third game, you don't see them very much. In the second game, you see them every time she appears, but you don't always get the greatest of glimpses. Once the bottom half's done, I go ahead and do the same on the top half. This way, what I had just done got a chance to dry. I did this for all 4 pieces, by the way. I did one piece, then the next piece, then the next piece, then the next piece. So bottom, bottom, then top and top. I just didn't want to show it to you because showing all 4 would be very tedious. Once that all the outlines are dry, I go ahead and start adding in details. I started with the white first for the moon, the little pieces that are supposed to be cut out, and of course that little piece on the bottom that's just looks really pretty shaded. And then I use the crimson to add some more shading, and then I use subtle shading in burgundy for more subtle outlines. I'm doing my best at this point also I'm going a little bit off of the concept art, but not completely off the art that I was looking at the time when I was doing this. So I was adding shading where it looked like they had shading also on the drawing, but then I added lines like they had, but I just kind of made them my own, going with the design that was on the that I'd managed to mimic as closely as I could, but the shaded lines are not all exact. Once that's all done, I go completely around the edge in black and let everything dry overnight. This, again, took a while. And as I said, you might want to use acrylic black paint for everything that is not fabric, such as the wire, because I've already noticed it's already chipped off. Oops. I didn't realize that that particular kind of paint was only for fabric. The other Lumiere paints are acrylic, so you can use it for fabric or plastic, but they work very well. They're formulated also to be used on fabrics. So once the top pieces are done, I go ahead and start on the bottom pieces, starting first with the same sort of shading, doing the white, then going in and adding in crimson, adding in the burgundy, and then finally outlining in black. And anything that needed to be corrected or that looked too heavy-handed in the outlining stage did get corrected a little bit during this stage, because I'm a perfectionist, I guess. It's just the best way to put it. I'm a perfectionist. And of course, the lines aren't exact to the art I was following as a concept, but some I did try to give it my own little flair to it, and every now and then I did have to flip the paper down or throw it away or change it out. Once all of that is done and dried, I borrowed my husband's light box and used the light to shine it through so that on the opposite side, where nothing is painted or drawn out yet, I can draw in the lines. And then I outline said lines and do some shading and do the edges again, thus completing the painting portions. Now, at this point, I decided I'd rather make it a more temporary thing rather than a permanent. Oh dear. And, well, if you missed it, yeah, the little popsicle stick broke, so I ended up cutting them all off, feeding wire through the loops instead, using a little bit of hot glue to help me stabilize them as best as I could. And it worked. That's the good thing. And then I took ribbon and wound them together and added some straps to strap them on her. And here she is. Those wings are really big. I think I made them almost too big, but they are gorgeous. But at the same time, I'm wondering if with different materials if I can make something even better. We may have to revisit this in the future. But thank you for watching this journey. I hope you enjoyed it. Madama seems to really like the wings so far. And I hope to see you next time. Take care and have a happy fall. Bye.